Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome to kind of a motivation video. Not just for you guys but also for me. I think that every now and then certain aspects get changed within War Thunder. I talked recently about the flavor of the month being a new premium tank or whatsoever, and sometimes it can switch around the balance. But premium tanks is not everything in this game that we can talk about, is it, guys? So, in this case, I'm flying Italian low-tier aircraft, and sometimes I feel like I lost my skill, if I ever had such thing, and I just get results that are not, what I expect. And particularly the German tech tree versions of the Italian aircraft had a very hard time previously. But I think now with the buff to the machine gun damage effect, particularly the AP rounds, I think just use them, spade them. I have researched all Italian aircraft and nearly none of them are spaded, even the low tiers. So yesterday and today I sat down and played a few rounds. And what I found out is that it is very relaxing. Yes, it's low tier. On the other hand, something particular came in my mind. Aircraft such as the Blenheim, such as the PBY and other bombers were notoriously tough to take down previously. But now, with very good aiming or decent aiming and a few good hits into their engines or fuselages and so on, you can get the results that you need for the kills. And with the Italian aircraft you have 12.7mm Breda machine guns. They work in this patch, so play them while they're hot. And the key message is that I think it's more relaxing, more fun, and overall more efficient to learn for higher battle rating vehicles from success rather than constant defeat and, adapt to certain playstyles. You will not learn everything that there is to learn at low tier, of course. You can't fly a biplane and practice jet gameplay. It's just not the way it works. But tactics that usually work regardless which game you play are also trained, be it positioning, be it team play, be it overall foreseeing the flow of the battle, prioritizing your targets. All this can be learned, relaxing, especially when playing together in a squad, especially efficiently, and not that frustrating at lower tiers. By the way, the plane that I'm flying is completely stock. This is what Italian aircrafts are. And this is let's put it in a side note of this video. We have a compression in War Thunder at lower tiers as well as in very high tier, be it tanks and planes alike. I think the performance gap is very often too big, that this poor guy in his P-26A P-shooter had to face this Italian aircraft. It's just not fair, but it's also the other way around when I fly my Italian biplanes, even though them having not that bad armament. It's just very distressing when we talk about facing hurricanes, because they climb faster, they have better or very good maneuverability, and overall, they are just very tough opponents. On the other hand, if you can reach out to just simply master it to take them down, which is entirely possible because not every Spitfire and not every Hurricane and not any or every Italian aircraft is flown by an ace at that tier. You can train. I'm not saying seal climbing. This is not a tip for advanced players, of course. They just, they're just watching something else by now, I guess, and giving this video dislike because it's not something, very new to them, and that's fine. However, if you're not that advanced in air combat, be it you began to play War Thunder for playing tanks, have a look at realistic battles, or hell, even arcade, therefore, to get a grip for it, to just simply, have a bit of success and being motivated to keep on learning, even though it might cost the enemy some tears. However, that's not your problem, is it? Also, I think the progression at lower tiers is relatively quickly and also motivates you to go on. From tier 3 onwards, it takes a while up until the point you unlock something, especially without a premium account. But again, that's a story for another day. So my first gameplay comes to a rapid, greedy ending. Yeah, you see it coming, I see it coming as well, and I didn't care, because that was the first battle, and with that battle alone, with those 2 kills, assist, and the few ground targets that I made, I managed to unlock nearly everything, and it was worth the relatively fast battle time. The next battle is one that takes much longer. As you will see, we're not even halfway through the video, and this battle actually already begins. This is in the G50 Series 7. I think this is a very fun and awesome looking plane as well. Again, 2 12.7s. They are very precise weapons in terms of their placement. You can't get better armament than this when you want to snipe enemies. And that is, you have centralized dual armament above the engine, so it's not getting easier to aim. With wing-mounted weapons, you have to really go for your conversions and other things, your ammunition count and so on. Spitfire Mark IIB, as while those 20mm are awesome, the ammunition count is not the highest. Same goes for the BF-109, E3, E4 and E7, the Japanese premium, the zeros as well. So I think at 3.7 around about this battle rating, you can expect to have a good ratio of upgrades in terms of armament. I think the Americans, they stick for a very long time with their 50 caliber machine guns, and in this patch they got buffed massively, so they are now working. Maybe a bit too much, but then again, you have difficulties getting guns on targets in the first place with the possibility of facing Japanese. Yeah. But overall, I think for lower tier planes, now I think it's a good time to learn to work with machine guns. They are a bit more rewarding than they were before. Again, less frustrating, and if you put a lot of work into side climbing or climbing at all, into positioning yourself, and then you make the boom and zoom attack, or you make the stall fight of your life, and you then get your guns on target, you pull the trigger, you get a few hits, and then the enemy bursts into flames, is a much better feeling than to having repeat the same thing for 3-4 times before the enemy goes down, or you get a lucky pilot snipe or whatsoever. And having good guns and rewarding your effort is just something that I really like about the current state of low tier gameplay. We had patches where you could hammer your enemy with 20mm or even 30mm Minengeschosse, and they did nothing. Well, that short burst was a bit overkill, but then again, he was dead in the first place. It was just that it saved me a lot of ammunition. And you can see the big advantage that I now have is that I can concentrate on other targets and not, trying to hunt down somebody. Even with an altitude advantage, at some point you need to sacrifice it to go down to your targets to shoot at them at all. Doesn't help it when you're floating at 5,000 meters, you have an altitude advantage with nothing to shoot at. So positioning at all to help your friends, and look at this, there are 3 enemies and I am prioritizing the Hurricane Mark II. And this is, just showing off that not everything is an instant kill. You still need to properly aim for the vital parts of an aircraft. Again, although in this patch you're coming off a bit better. And again, I'm prioritizing here the Hurricane and not the other aircraft, the Nimrod Mark I, which crashed by itself, although being more or less a safe kill, because I wanted to help my teammates. And having a lot of teammates is always nice. First of all, your enemy still then has something else to shoot at. That sounds very selfish, although you then have something that you can work together with, which is not that selfish, except you get the kill and the other one is just, staying alive. You can work with those arguments the way you want, but I think War Thunder has managed in RRB, for my taste, not for every nation, not for every aircraft of course, to achieve a playing level, I'd say, where skill matters. At higher tiers, then we suffer from it. Maybe it's just my overall game experience of having played thousands of battles and having now easy mode. I agree to a certain extent. However, I have to get the upgrades the way every other player has to do as well, by playing. I'm not wasting golden eagles for lower tiers. And we get 2 fires on the Wellington, take out the gunner with some precise shooting. This is the way that I like my machine guns. Are they too strong? Well, if the Wellington would have been in a better position, not his fault in this situation by the way, he did actually the honorable thing of trying to land, so he went down. He could have machine gunned me down with the 7.7s, which are also bloody efficient. And from the side on a Hurricane, the 12.7s do the pilot kill job as well. So now I'm trying to flee from the enemy triple A guns. Triple A air. Yeah, me and my English. It's not so yellow from the egg, if you know what I mean. Jokes aside, I have the rewards in the back. I am switching to manual engine control. Again, you have to set it up yourself. Look into the controls and set it up for yourself. I use the number block on the right hand side of the keyboard. I think this is how it works universally all over the world. The 0 key for activating manual engine control and also switching back to auto engine control, and 1 for activating prop pitch, 2 for lowering, 3 for raising, 4 for activating both the water, oil and any other engine cowlings, 5 for lowering, 6 for raising again. And with that you're set up to keep your engine cool. By the way, the first map that I showed you was Bastogne, and I loved that map for having easier times with your engines for beginners. So when you have a snow map, you can web a bit more than on a hot Sicily map, for example. So also Norway profits from that, by the way. So why I make this video is just I wanted to speak up against the common misbelief that certain people spread it, that Gaijin supposedly nerfed high caliber weapons in order to benefit new players. In my opinion, to lower the damage output of guns to a ridiculously poor performance, benefits nobody. First of all, I think in most cases the enemy, gets down anyway when you fly a Spitfire, but it costs you an awful a lot amount of ammunition. Then for aircraft that set all their, firepower in one special attack, for example boom and zoom or energy fighting, where you just have a split second and then you need to kill the enemy, and certain aircraft are designed around that. German aircraft with a lot of frontal mounted 20mm cannons or the option to mount gun pods, that should reward you when you can hit the enemy with a good burst, and not the enemy just smoking the engine, turning around and chasing you, and then you have to sacrifice altitude, run away, and probably lose to another enemy that's lurking around. Working aircraft armament for a working tactic is what I want to see in the game, and currently we are there. I think I should thank you, Gaijin, for bringing it into the game right now. Again, the message is play the Italian aircraft and spade them, especially the low ones that rely on machine gun armament, or certain high tier ones as well, like the MC202 or C202 as it is called in the Italian aircraft. They are fantastic aircraft, and one of the big complaints, especially about the MC202, is that it's a fantastic aircraft back in the days when it was exclusively in the German tech tree, but it lacked the firepower. I think in this patch you can work around it, and the machine guns again do the damage. So play them while they're hot, while they work, and then you have a better learning curve. If you learn by success, it sticks into your mind much more than learning by defeat. Because sometimes when you get defeated, you just think, oh, that was nonsense, this is not how it should work. Maybe this is also not perfectly historically accurate, but for a gameplay reason, I support it. So now I'm landing, and I just then try to rearm and try to find the last enemy to shoot him down. By the way, nose landing in certain aircraft is not just faster but also safer, as you will not overshoot the runway, and then you're also faster back in the air to look for the last enemy that there is. So then the last Hurricane was shot down by a teammate, and yeah, I go home with 4 kills and 1 assist, and a few ground targets, winning the match, getting a good income and a good progression in my research. Although this was the last battle and the plane was nearly spaded, I think just the engine injection was missing. So this was nearly as good as it gets with the performance of the G50 AS Serie 7. I like those Italian aircraft. They are nimble, they have good machine guns at the moment, and I think they're fun. For other nations, I guess I have to check out the Buffaloes, I guess, the American ones. I see them flying around quite often, the F2A1, and also a lot of the P36s, especially the G variant, seems to be very popular amongst players. And yeah, I think low tier is at the moment enjoyable to spade. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.